Should we start with Jordan Peterson?
I think so.
Now, you will notice that the YouTube of this is titled Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists. When it was first released, it was not titled that. It was titled One Christian versus 20 Atheists. Now, I'm trying to think, like, what was mine called? Like progressive or something like that, right?
Versus conservatives, I believe.
Progressive versus conservative. That's the way they do it.
That's accurate, yeah.
And they give you, as far as I remember, like latitude, like I think I suggested that.
The top comment says, the way Jubilee changed the title from One Christian versus 20 Atheists featuring Jordan Peterson to Jordan Peterson versus 20 Atheists after 4 hours is so funny.
Well, part of the reason why they did this is because someone pointed out that Jordan Peterson claimed that he's not Christian in the video.
We're about to play that part. He gets very defensive about it.
This is not new for Jordan, who I suspect does not believe in God like the people in your life who believe in God. And he's been lying about and pretending about that and fudging that for years and years, even though it's been pretty obvious.
Has he said that he doesn't?
He's always did this thing about what do you mean by believe in God and what do you mean by Christian and all that stuff. Oh, do I have some relationship to the infinite? He's been doing this the entire time because he's lying about his actual beliefs.
But I don't even understand, like, I mean, it's honestly like this whole thing feels like Jordan Peterson was kidnapped and dropped into this circle and made to debate these people. That's not how it works. I've done one of these.
You could decline this if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, it was totally my option as to whether to do this. And in fact, not only was it my option to do this, I actually had to go somewhere to do it. They did not all show up.
But you don't understand. Jordan has no choice anymore because of what's been taken from him. You know, his respectability, his
professional qualifications,
professional practice. So he has no choice. Like, he is in a prison of wokeness's making. And so he has to do these media appearances.
I am forced into this.
Also, Russell Brand is Christian now. Joe Rogan looks like he's church curious, so it's getting a bit more crowded in the I kind of believe in God department.
All right,
basically prison labor.
Here's Jordan Peterson, and this is which one is this? Is this the?
This is the first one, I guess. Yeah, this part, and then we'll play two of these.
Sure. So, do you believe in the all-knowing, all-powerful, all-good notion of God?
What do you mean by believe?
Do you think it to be true?
That's the circular definition. What do you mean when you say you believe?
How is that circular?
Because you added no content to the answer by substituting the word true and believe.
I said you think it to be true.
All right. So if you believe something, you stake your life on it.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it.
Okay, can you pause it? I'm sorry. So this is a really interesting rhetorical trick I've heard some conservatives deploy in relation to Donald Trump, where it's like, actually I heard Anna Kasparian say this on TYT. If you if you think Donald Trump is a fascist, then wouldn't that necessitate basically advocating for his assassination? Where did we get to that logical leap? Like, it's like when you're in this kind of trap where you can't necessarily get out of it, so you have to strawman the opponent as basically being hysterical, right? Or make the
what
bar
do you mean by
to entry.
Strawman?
Right.
What do you mean by strawman?
So, we've all heard of the Gish Gallop, which is a rhetorical technique in which a person in a debate attempts to overwhelm an opponent by presenting an excessive number of arguments without regard for their accuracy or strength. This is the sort of inverse of that.
Whoa. What do you mean by inverse?
So what Sam is doing there is what I'm going to coin the pedantry prance, which is that you just keep taking issue with.
By issue? What do you mean by issue? Wait, young man, you answer me. What do you mean by issue?
You need to agree on terms.
What do you mean by issue? I don't have to agree with anything you say.
By issue,
this is not about you bullying me into agreeing with you. You don't even know what the word issue means.
I just mean like you take exception to.
Oh, okay. So issue means exception.
Like
Then what does exception mean?
for instance, the word belief.
Is it an
How does a
exception
normal
or is
believer-
it an issue? All you did was change the word.
It's pedantry, prance.
Oh, prance. Really? What do you mean by prance? Are we prancing right
Dancing
now?
around, exactly.
No, dancing around. Dancing around.
In a frivolous
I see.
manner.
So why is there two words? Why don't we just say prancing around? This is the problem. You're dismissed.
What do you mean by that?
You live for it and you die for it. That's what I mean by that. It isn't something that you say. It isn't something that's associated with logical consistency. It's not declarative. It's not propositional. It's not a figment of your imagination. It's the presupposition of your attention and your action. And you're either fragmented, in which case you worship multiple gods, or there's some unity at the bottom of it that makes you an unstoppable force.
Okay, so you're saying that you don't believe something if you wouldn't die for it?
Not really, no.
Okay. So then,
How would you define belief? Something you say?
Okay, so I explain, like, I could believe it is the case that this pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't be
life?
so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
How much do you
Hold
know
on.
about
Tell
me?
me about
I
this
didn't lie
pen
to-
exists. Tell me if this pen exists and try. Shoot me now.
So
Shoot
now-
me now. Shoot me. Kill me.
What's great
Kill
about
me. Shoot me now, dead with the pen.
He has no thought of where he's going. So
Stick
now
it into my eye.
he's backed into the corner where under no circumstances can he utter an untruth.
That's he so desperately didn't want to answer the question, do you believe in an all power? Like he couldn't even. No, this is a gotcha question. What is belief? What is God? What is everything? What is pen? What do you mean pen?
So So he catches him here, and this is where Jordan has to get defensive about, do you know anything about me?
Oh, yes. Yes, this is a debate on ideas. But first, I hope you're familiar with my CV.
He's doing a great job, but he should have been like, what do you mean by no?
This pen exists, but if someone like threatened my life, right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? Like, I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't be
life?
so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me?
Hold
I
on.
didn't lie
Go
to save
back,
my
please.
career.
Go back. I want to hear that again. Don't be so sure. That was
Like, I
slow.
think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your
Don't be
life?
so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Oh, pause it. Pause it
Lie-
for a
lie to,
second.
like, save your
Pause it for
children
a
and your mom.
second. His career? Like, which career has been more successful for him?
Right.
I mean, honestly.
His practice or his media personality?
I mean, honestly.
And
be
he
real.
insisted on lies. That's why he lost his professional credentials in Canada. He insisted on calling Elliot Page's doctors criminal butchers, which is just a right-wing
What does
propaganda.
butcher mean?
Exactly.
What does criminal mean?
Right. It turns out none of the things that, and the Royal Psychiatrists of Montreal or whatever said, we're going to give you every opportunity to go back on this. And he said, I'd rather just feed the hogs on right-wing media.
Right, because of the cash associated with it.
Oh, what does cash mean? Who knows?
Listen, bucko, you don't know
Go
my
ahead.
life.
Wait a second.
I would die for my cash. That's how much I believe in it.
I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to like save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
Can there ever be a circumstance logic?
Wait a second. The guy set up a hypothetical about somebody coming in saying, is this a pen? And if the guy says it's a pen, they're going to kill him. And now Peterson has now changed the hypothetical in such a way that, well, lying wouldn't help that. Like, but then why would he address the fact that he wouldn't lie in other circumstances?
But this guy comes up with a good response to it, too, because he catches him and it gives him a scenario in which lying could save his family.
A pretty famously obvious scenario to Europe. One in America would be like maybe escaped slaves. Would you?
Or what about your money or your life?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure that you would take the money and then kill me. So in this hypothetical, I can see into your brain, into the brain of the person who's hypothetically there.
That lying could save someone.
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
I'll give you an example. If you're like in like Nazi Germany, and it is the case that there's like Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them,
example.
Would you lie to like the Nazis?
I would have done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. It's a hypothetical, and it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
Pause it.
No, I
I'm
can't.
sorry,
Pretty crazy.
but that is a pretty insane thing that he just said. He said that he basically, roundabout way, blamed people who were captured by the Nazis for their own behavior. I wouldn't be in that situation.
No. He
Yeah.
blamed the people who didn't anticipate the people who tried to hide Anne Frank, they didn't have enough forethought.
And I'm sorry, I can't hide you or lie for you because the die has been cast long ago. There's nothing we can do anymore.
No, the problem is that family did not emigrate to the United States beforehand. And therefore, when Dan Frank's family would show up at the house, no one would be there.
I've been living
and
in
they would
sin.
be
I can't
able
help
to live in the attic without anybody there. And so when the Nazis came in, they'd say, "Who's here?" No one was there. And they would go to the next house.
This kid's like 24 years old.
I like the.
Stop tying me up in pretzels, you little shit.
I know the example, and I'm bloody pissed
Oh,
that
I
you
know
brought
it. I know it. I believe me.
Isn't this also, Tim Pool would really appreciate this deontological answer where it's so immoral to lie, right? But it's not, you don't have to think, it's only viewing the action as moral or immoral in and of itself and not the consequences of it.
Oh, what does consequence mean?
Yeah.
Answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because I've done everything I bloody well could, so I wouldn't be in that situation
you
to
lie?
begin with.
Yikes.
It's a hypothetical, and it's
You
not
can't answer
answerable.
hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like
What?
that because
Did
it's
you eat
far. Look,
Did you eat
don't
today?
play games.
I'm not playing games. I'm just
Yes,
asking
you
if you
are.
ate it.
If you present me with an intractable moral choice that's stripped of context and you back me into a corner, you're playing game. I just told you
Hypothetical.
I would
Into a
do
corner.
everything that I could to make sure that I'm never in that situation. By the time you've got there, you've made so many mistakes that there's nothing.
I would just grind my way out of the ramp
First
of the
off,
Holocaust.
you should not have voted for Hitler.
Yeah.
That's number one.
I would transcend it.
Number two, you should not make the people think that you might be willing to hide Anne Frank. That's why they come. If you leave milk out for a kitty cat, it's going to come back.
You can do that isn't a sin.
Being born in Nazi Germany and trying to protect people that you care about, like there could be a Jewish friend that you have, and you want to protect them.
I think you should
have
just
them in
give
your
up on
attic.
that line of questioning.
Yes, there's
up on
no
just, like,
way
trying to
I would
clarify
have a Jew as a friend. I would never do that.
I would never.
Because that is what I'm saying. I would have done everything possible before that moment. And by not having any Jewish friends, by appearing somewhat hostile to the Jews, and Frank's family would have never come. I rest my case. Move on, bucko.
Because you
I
don't
did
like, are you like
clarify.
uncomfortable with me asking this question? It's just a basic hypothetical. Like I could ask you.
It's just a basic
Yeah, yeah.
hypothetical
Like,
where you
like, if
put Jews' lives at stake in Nazi Germany. That's just a basic hypothetical.
Obviously, you would lie in that scenario to save their life, but you're like not trying to answer this question for some reason.
I just told you why.
Are you anti-fascist? Like, so you're
Why
anti-fascist?
are you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know.
Well, he asked that because you said you wouldn't do anything in Nazi Germany.
And you also seemingly in a
No,
roundabout.
no, I would have, if I was, now, okay, there you go. If I lived at that time, I would have prevented Hitler's rise to power. That's what I'm saying. So I would have never had to hide Anne Frank because I would have prevented all of World War II from happening.
you asking that?
I was just asking, just clarifying. But like, okay, again, you're not answering this hypothetical because you know it shows that you clearly would lie to save
I'm
someone's life.
answering it in
Obviously,
a
that's
manner
not
you
what truth
don't
is.
find acceptable.
Obviously, because I care about truth.
I wouldn't be in that scenario.
Obviously, right? Logically, because that's
No.
already happened. Like that's in the past. You don't have a time travel device. We're bringing this logical hypothetical up to show you that in some circumstances that do happen within the real world, you would lie to save people's lives. So your definition of truth isn't actually how we're typically using it. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to muddy the waters. When I ask you, like, do you believe this? Do you think this to be true?
We could probably cut it there because he eventually is like, okay, fine. Like,
Well, they run out of time, basically.
Should we get to that, or we can just say that he does that?
What does he say? Fine to? I believe in God.
He says that I would tell a lie, and then they move on. They don't even get back to the
you
original
never
point.
get back to the original point. No. Do you believe in God?
It's only like 30 more seconds.
Like, I just don't understand how it got, like, who set this up? Did nobody tell? Honestly, this whole thing is like, wait a second. 1 second I'm in IHOP having a meal with my daughter, and all of a sudden there's 20 atheists surrounding me. All I asked for was the bill. And then all of a sudden everyone's peppering me with questions. What's going on here?
All right, we'll play this out.
So you don't actually have to answer the questions. And plenty of Christians don't like that because they clearly see that you don't really want to be associated with
I
Christianity.
can imagine that I was in a situation where the best I could do as a consequence of my previous mistakes was to tell the least amount of lie I could manage. But that would likely indicate that I had made all sorts of catastrophic errors on my way there.
So you would lie to save someone's life. So again, you do believe it to be true in that circumstance, even though you lied in that scenario. So
Not
clearly that's
without
not what
the
you see to be true.
context that I put it in.
You were not willing to die for it.
said-
You were not willing to let other people die for it. So that's not what you see to be true then, seemingly.
You're doing exactly what I said you were doing at the beginning of the conversation. You're generating an impossible, restricted, hypothetical with no precursors to back me into a
How's
corner.
it possible? Is there something contradictory about it? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
He's seething. It's not a hypothetical if it has happened in history, let alone in the past 100 years.
But
it's definitionally not hypothetical.
I'm sorry. Like, if something to qualify as something you believe in is something you would die for, has no one ever questioned Jordan Peterson's beliefs because he's still alive? Like, I don't understand. Are there no circumstances, like, you would die for? Why didn't he attempt to kill or be killed when he was fired? I believe this is the right thing to do, and I'm going to kill myself if I have to, if I am beholden to completely made up rules about identifying people's pronouns. I'm going to kill myself because I disagree with it.
Self-immolation.
I don't believe in using the pronoun that people choose to have used. And so I will die on that hill, literally. I mean,
But again, it's all because he can't just say, yes, I believe in God. He has to say, what do you mean by believe? What do you mean by
or
God?
say, no, I don't believe in God.
Why?
Then he stopped selling out tours.
Why? Oh, okay.
Oh, that's why.
That's
why? But why would he stop selling out tours?
Because the people that go are Christians.
Oh yes, but then why not go full Russell Brand?
I
Go
refuse
baptize
to
yourself.
tell a lie, young lady.
Because fundamentally, he condescends to those. It's the same thing as Ben Shapiro. Like he'll feed the slop out, but he's not going to eat it himself.
And I love, like, it's a really good hallmark of, like, what conservative morality is, or, like, what their ethics are, even if it's outside of religion, where they claim it's all, like, their individual virtue as they perceive it, and there's always holes in it. But, like, he really, I shouldn't use the word belief, because then I would have to die. Or,
What do you mean by that? Would you
might have
kill
to
somebody
die
for
for
it
it
right now?
Right, but it's always just like my principles, like my actions in and of themselves are moral. And then when you get a little bit complicated about it, they can't even apply their own analysis to real life situations. That would be a hypothetical.
This clip is the most bizarre one, because it's clear that everyone there was under the impression they were going to debate a Christian.
Yes. Yes.
And for the first 4 hours that this video was up, it said Christian versus 20 atheists. Now, and also, like, I don't know when they recorded this. I know the lag time on mine was like 5 or 6 weeks, right? I mean, it was like the end of January and it came out like in like the first week or so of March. And what is it about Jordan Peterson that he would have a debate with atheists about if he wasn't?
If you can't identify him as anything other than Jordan Peterson.
Now, I guess you could just say, believer in God versus 20 atheists.
But he would take exception of that. What do you mean by believe in God?
Then why agree to this is the
Well,
question.
that's the strangest.
an
That's why. And this poor kid who's debating him, and Peterson like basically shows up and go, "Oh no, I've actually just been teleported here. I'm not." I mean, it's almost like Freaky Friday. Where it's
Yeah.
where Jordan Peterson shows up, but it's just his body, and it's actually some other person.
I've been body swapped with
I've
somebody.
been body swapped. I didn't know about this. I didn't prepare for this at all. I'm only 7. Good.
Danny, nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Danny.
Danny.
You're saying atheists worship things or people or places, whatever. Can you be very clear about your definition of worship again?
Attend to, prioritize, and sacrifice for.
Okay, that's it. That's your understanding of worship.
Well, I could flesh it out, but that'll do for the time we have.
Okay. Do Catholics attend to Mary?
Well, yes.
Okay. So do they fit that description of worship?
Yes.
So you would say Catholics and other people that revere Mary, like the Eastern Orthodox tradition, worship Mary.
Well, they might not put her in the highest
But
place.
you would put it that way.
No.
You just said it. Now you're taking it back
There's
now?
still a hierarchy.
Okay, there's a hierarchy, but within the
There's something at the top.
All right, you can worship things
Mary is
below.
quite a ways up the hierarchy, but not at the top.
Let's go over your definition of worship again. What's your definition of worship?
Attend to,
Attend to. Do
prioritize, and
Catholics
sacrifice for.
do Catholics attend to? Do they prioritize Mary over all other human beings?
No, I didn't say overall, did I? I didn't add that to my definition.
You understand.
I said there was a hierarchy as well.
You attend to
So you can attend to something trivially, or you can attend to it deeply.
and now
there's
you're
a-
adding stuff to the definition. But your original
I
definition.
added the hierarchy part at the beginning.
Are you
just
familiar?
didn't understand it.
Are you familiar with the Immaculate Conception?
Why is that relevant?
Because you go to a Catholic church, don't you? Or you've attended recently. You're interested in Catholicism, aren't you?
Sure,
All right. Are you familiar with their doctrines?
somewhat.
Okay, you're familiar.
doctrines are very
how do they
deep.
regard Mary?
Why are you asking me that?
Because you're a Christian.
You say that. I haven't claimed that.
Oh, what is this? Is this Christians versus atheists?
I don't know.
You don't know where you are right now.
Don't be a smartass.
Well,
And I mean
either
that,
you're a
'cause
Christian
I won't
or you're
talk
not.
to you if you're a smartass.
Oh, either you're a Christian or you're not. Which one is it?
I could be either of them, but I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me. I was under the impression
private.
I was invited to talk to a Christian. Am I not talking to a Christian?
No, you were invited to.
I think everyone should look at the title of the YouTube channel. You're probably in the wrong YouTube video,
You're really quite something, you are.
aren't I? But you're really quite nothing, right? You're not a
Okay,
Christian.
I'm done with him.
Bravo on the quick wit on that kid to turn that phrase around on him. Oh my goodness. You're really quite nothing, aren't you?
I just don't understand. Like what was it he didn't want to? I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure I followed what the debate was about there, and it just
Well,
seemed to get short circuited.
Because Mary is like the mother of Jesus, as opposed to Jesus, who's or God, who you're supposed to be worshiping at the top of the hierarchy. I think is maybe what he was alluding to.
But I think the point is that Peterson is making an argument that atheists are also worship a god. It's just they don't refer to it as a god.
Yeah.
Because they have some guiding principle. But I'm just guessing. I mean, I also think that's sort of like what if anything you worship is a god in that instance, really has to do with what he said in terms of like what Peterson himself said about prioritizing and where they sit upon like their ability to impact the world. There's a difference between a God that you think is all-knowing and all-controlling, or has set up. I mean, different people have different theologies, but if you call everything a God, then yes, nobody's an atheist.
But Catholics would not say that they would not say that they worship Mary, right? So that's why, like, they may believe. Matt, you can talk about it.
I mean, I don't know.
But I mean, I did a little
All I
research
know is that you, the Knicks are your God.
I think all he was doing was trying to get Jordan Peterson into the murky waters of the fantastical things about religion that Jordan Peterson definitely does not literally believe in the sense that, in the common sense of the word belief. And when Jordan Peterson could sense that, and that's why he got really sort of leery about even being called a Christian. Because Jordan Peterson, like I said, does not believe the way that, people you might know who are religious, that there's a God sitting there ready to pass your judgment on you, your soul, when you die. He doesn't believe in that.
Right. Worship in Catholicism, is my understanding, it's supposed to just be for one God, for the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, right? And that there's Mary, there's John, there's saints and all that, but that you're not supposed to worship them or put them over God, which is part of what he's trying to say.
Catholics definitely do love Mary. My grandma has a Mary statue down the hall. It freaks me out every time I was staying over there to get up and go to the bathroom.
Okay, but I'm just trying to clarify, just because the internet says that you're not supposed to worship Mary, so that's just at the very least.
Well, I don't know about. I mean, I have no.
Well, is it worshiping her if you put a small statue of her down at the end of the hall in front of a mirror?
What was his contention? That, like, do we have his what his claim was? I mean, this the bizarre thing about it is, it feels like what happened is that, there was a little bit of back and forth in my instance. I imagine this is the same process. Like, at one point they said, do you want to debate libertarians? And I was like, well, I do that on my show, and they don't seem to be terribly relevant right now. I said, I would just rather debate conservatives. And they may have said, like, do you want a Democratic and Republicans? And I'm like, no, I want to talk more about specific sort of policies. I suspect maybe what happened with Peterson is they couldn't come up with a thing that he was willing to argue. And that they may have just deferred to this sort of like, I'll talk to atheists because they're wrong. They don't realize that they're actually godly worshiping. And there was no way for the Jubilee people to sort of say, like, pedantic guy, debates atheists.
I think they explicitly told all those kids there that they were going to be debating a Christian. And,
without a doubt.
Yeah, and so Jordan Peterson, and that's what they labeled the video, like we said before it, and they had to change it because of this exact exchange where Jordan Peterson, out of fear of like being definite about anything, retreats from the label of Christian.
I just wanted to come in and tell these kids they didn't know what they were believing. I mean, because they weren't dying for it.
But isn't that such a tell? Like, this is where I don't, like, people's media literacy, or like when people listen to a guy like Jordan Peterson, honestly, I felt this way during the Ezra Klein debate, when you're not like basically, you're dancing around everything, or you're not specific when asked direct questions. Shouldn't that set off alarm bells for anybody that like wants a coherent argument that's given to them? Because for me, I hear that guy go either lunatic or complete snake oil salesman. One of the two.
I'm sort of just a little bit floored by it, by how sort of
unprepared he was.
Well, I think it honestly was just like, I'm going to come in there and the atheists don't exist. And therefore...
You're actually a religious believer. Me? You can't say what I am.
But the strangest thing is for him to set up this sort of like a belief is defined by whether you would die for something. And not a single person in that room, I would say, if you had said to him, like, do you believe in God? And they would say, no, I do not. they're all alive, and they're not. They're clearly alive because they don't believe in God.
Yeah.
If they believed in God and said that they didn't, then they would have to fight to the death for it to actually be a belief. I mean, by his own definition in terms of what constitutes a belief. But I think his argument must be that if you really like something, that everybody has something that they treat as a God. But I just don't think that's even remotely the case.
Careful. That's if you can be impressed by that, the whole like, oh well, you have to have some relationship with a transcendent that comes after you. That means you believe in God. Like that is just that again. That's pedantry and semantic fudging. Whereas you talk to somebody who believes in God, they think Jesus actually was put on the cross. In my family, was put on the cross, died for their sins. I don't believe any of this stuff, but that stuff literally happened. Jordan Peterson, I'd be curious to hear him talk about the historicity of Jesus and see where he agrees with that. I think he would probably give you an answer like this, where he's not really, what do you mean by historicity? What do you mean by this? Because he doesn't want to say that because he'll stop selling tickets.
What there is, I wonder if there isn't some parallel too between, and again, I'm, who knows what Peterson was actually trying to argue here, but the idea that, Ann Coulter had a book about this at one point where liberals have a religion. It's just called civics. Yeah. And they have made government a religion. And
cool. Civics is better than Christianity.
Civics is my religion, actually. Yeah.
But the point is that civics are actually sort of mutable by some form of shared, understanding, voting, referendum, representation. Civic life can evolve in a way that is not locked off.
It's a social endeavor.
It's a social endeavor. Religion, as far as I can tell, is a function of a deity having the final say on some level. And, different people have different interpretations of what that deity is, and there's rivalries within the context of that. But there is no sort of deity in the context of a civic religion. There are documents, there are charters and constitutions, and, that may function similar to a Bible, but they can be amended by humans in a way that the Bible theoretically, by I think believers don't believe can be. I think that's the point. You can have commentary, but you can't change what the Bible.
What do you mean by commentary, Sam? I think this is a significant problem for Peterson. I think he's being eclipsed on the religious front by people like Russell Brand. I think his type of intellectual religiosity, I don't think people have time for it anymore. I think the sun's setting on it.
I mean, even Ben Shapiro, it's not religiosity, but the kind of like conservative wonkishness thing, or like whatever, this veneer of intellectualism is completely out the window. And wasn't he a Daily Wire pickup?
But also,
right? Like with their bankruptcy, how does that affect Jordan Peterson, or not bankruptcy, with them losing that money, how does that affect Jordan Peterson's employment? Right. I
also think that in terms of like just where the zeitgeist is, theoretically he won, right? Like he was able to defeat the trans agenda, and you can say the R word now, so you no longer have to make your bed. Because boys have been saved. It's a boys' world again.
The making the bed thing is funny because, ironically, the number one political streamer on the right is a guy who clearly does not make his bed and probably has a hoarding problem.
Right, that guy Asmongold, who I don't know anything about except that, like, he shits himself or something.
I don't know about that. I've seen a picture of his. I've seen a picture of his room, and it doesn't appear like he likes to take out the garbage.
Oh, the roach that came across his screen. Yeah. That's so. But anyway, it's interesting that a guy like that would be appealing to the right in this way. I don't know. I don't understand this Twitch streamer space anymore.
Well, there's Jordan Peterson. I don't know if we'll get we got to dig into more of it. It just got released yesterday, right?
I got to say that I watched the whole thing, and those are the two best moments. The rest is kind of why I don't run in atheist circles a little bit, because a lot of the debates seem really pointless and abstruse. The only time that's fun is when they're accusing him of not actually believing God, which is it's the right angle of attack.
It's such a weird one to do, because I don't associate him with like being a big, like Christian forward guy.
I don't know. All his lectures are all on the Bible stuff. I think that's he gained a big audience doing that.
There's always these ancient truths, right? Like that's what he's always talking about.
Adam and Eve. Oh.
Oh yes.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.